I don't know if I'm the man for this job,
I said as I looked at the behemoth of a popcorn bucket that sat on the counter before me. It was flanked by 3 equally as large soda cups.
The hot dogs haven't even come out yet. I can't do this by myself. Please?
Kelly pouted her lip at me.
I have to go to the bathroom so bad, and I don't want to miss tip-off.
She flashed her blue eyes at me, and I all but melted.
Okay. I'll make it happen. Just meet me at the seats.
My brain was already playing Tetris, trying to figure out how to manage it all.
Troy should be there already. Oh, you're the best, Jay.
She planted a kiss on my cheek, and I felt a warm blush that matched the fiery hue of her hair.
I'll see you in a second. You're a wicked lucky guy, kid.
The vendor grinned as he squirted some relish onto a hot dog.
How long you guys been hanging around together? It feels like a lifetime if I'm being honest. But we met this fall at Bunker Hill. That's the community college, yeah? I did a couple of semesters there.
I started to ask for no relish, but he stopped me.
I know. No relish on this one.
He wrapped up the last hot dog in some foil.
Don't let this one slip, kid. She's a keeper. I've already got a ring.
I told him as I slid a tip into the jar sitting beside the condiments.
Just waiting for the right time tonight.
I stacked the mountain of popcorn, drinks, and hot dogs in my arms and moved to find Troy. The crowd was thick inside the garden tonight, but who expected any less for opening day? I found that the path to our seats was familiar even though this was my first Celtics game. The map in my back pocket Kelly insisted I take was left alone and untouched. I wound through the halls as if it were my home.
You made it, just in time too.
Troy stood up so I could slide in the seat between him and Kelly.
Yeah, and with all the food, I told him. I dodged at least 3 kids walking back here. It was like I knew they were coming, like a spider sense or something. Well, Spider-Man, I'll have to give you something special later for keeping the neighborhood food supply safe.
Kelly ruffled my hair.
You got something for me? I sure do,
I said, producing a foil-wrapped prize.
No relish. Wait, how did you know I didn't like relish? I forgot to tell you. Spider sense,
I said as I pretended to shoot webs from my hands.
I'm just on it tonight.
Welcome to the TD Arena, folks, on this beautiful October evening.
The announcer's voice boomed from the speakers overhead.
We have 19,000 here tonight, a standing room only crowd as the much anticipated NBA season kicks off with the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat.
The 3 of us settled into our seats as the voice continued.
You know, I feel like I've watched this game 100 times, but maybe that's just me.
I was just thinking the same thing,
Troy said as he threw his hands up. The voice continued, listing out the starting players for both teams.
The deja vu has been unreal tonight. I noticed that too, but I didn't want to say anything,
Kelly said as she retreated deeper into her chair.
It's starting to freak me out.
I wrapped my arm around her.
I guess that explains the spider sense,
I said as I kissed her on the forehead.
But I'm sure it's a coincidence. You both have been to games here before. I'm sure that's it.
We heard a whistle as the referee on the floor threw a ball up.
And the Celtics have control.
My ears felt immense pressure as the people all around us erupted into cheers. I noticed that some of the fans, like Kelly, had withdrawn themselves and wore an expression of unease. Anxiety began to creep up on me until I felt its hold tight around my chest. Had I been here before? I tried to control my breathing and pulled Kelly even closer.
We're all right. It's gonna be all right.
She turned to look up at me, and her eyes told me the exact opposite. I put my head down and felt the world spinning around me. I sat like that for some time, letting my head rest in my hands. I felt as if the anxiety in my chest was a hypnotist's pendulum, lulling me in and out of consciousness until the halftime buzzer pierced the arena, causing me to shoot upright.
Well, folks, here we are going into the half, and I gotta say, in over 20 years of broadcasting, I've never seen anything like this.
The announcer's voice boomed. I wiped drool from my face and rubbed my eyes.
Neither team has been able to score. You can just see the frustration from both sides.
I looked to Kelly, and she was now curled into the fetal position inside her chair. She rocked back and forth and mumbled something under her breath.
Kelly, what's going on? Are you all right?
I asked. I moved to comfort her, but she pulled away.
How many times? How many times?
Kelly's voice was a mix of urgent concern and deep anguish.
Kelly, please, let me help.
I reached towards her, but she screamed and shuffled away from me.
Hey man, leave her alone.
Someone in the seats above me shouted.
I'll call security.
I put my hands up as if I were surrendering and backed away from my girlfriend. Down on the court, I could hear some commotion as the players returned to the locker room. A handful of officers were fighting a group of spectators off as they tried to force their way into the players' area.
What in the fuck is going on?
I asked myself.
Jay!
Troy's voice echoed from the rail just below our section and he waved.
You have to come down here. Kelly will be fine. I can't just leave her.
I shouted back.
You have to trust me on this one, brother. She's okay.
Kelly continued to rock in her chair, pulling her knees close to her chest. No one in the stands seemed to pay attention to her as everyone went about their business.
I'm going down to Troy,
I told her.
I'll be right back. How many times?
Was the only answer I got, so I descended the stairs, turning to look back at her every now and then. Once I reached the landing, Troy pulled me tight into a hug.
Brother, I'm so glad you're here,
he said.
Troy, what's going on? Come with me. I have someone I want you to meet.
Troy ushered me from the landing down into the halls, where a crowd was congregating around a man standing on an overturned cooler.
We all know we have been here before.
The man shouted from atop his perch.
You feel it, do you not, brothers and sisters? The cycle is repeating again.
What a crock of shit.
A man shot back as he spilled chili on his shirt.
They're just letting loonies in here now? What happened to standards?
Not everyone is awake to the truth, but we will be soon.
The man continued, not affected by the opposition's words.
And what then, brothers and sisters? What then? You will have a choice to make.
The man continued with his sermon as I pulled Troy away.
Troy, what the hell, man?
I asked.
That guy is obviously nuts.
But Jay, he is right. Look deep within yourself and you'll find he speaks the truth.
Dude, why are you talking like that? We need to get Kelly and get out of here. I have a bad feeling.
Troy took my hand in his.
We cannot leave, Brother Jay. The cycle says so.
What do you mean we can't leave? Is this some kind of joke?
I jumped as a loud crash caused me and Troy both to duck. I heard it again as metal struck metal with a thunderous reverberation. I reached to find the source of the noise and saw two men thrusting large metallic rods into the exit doors. The pair continued with great effort as they tried to pull, pry, and push the doors open every way imaginable.
It's no use,
one of the men said as he collapsed on the floor. The people around us took notice. Panic drifted through the crowds. A gentle breeze carried on nervous laughter until someone tried a different door, and then another, all to the same effect. The gentle panic then became a frenzied hurricane swept upon the masses.
Abandon your ways!
The prophet atop the cooler commanded.
The love of material things is the vehicles that delivered us to this hell. The cycle demands it. God demands it.
Troy ran back to the preacher, and I lost him in the sea of people. Chaos was erupting throughout the arena, and I was lucky enough to find myself in the epicenter of it all. I felt the ring inside my pocket and hurried back to where I left Kelly. I strained the muscles in my legs trying to push back against the horde streaming from the landing at the stairs. I was the sole individual fighting to get back in. I lost my footing and was being carried away when I found reprieve in the rail above me. I grabbed it tight and pulled myself above the crowd. I scrambled up the rails until I found myself back in our section. Kelly was alone in her seat, still rocking back and forth.
How many times? How many times?
She asked as I approached.
I don't know, honey,
I said as I pulled her close to me, not knowing how else to comfort her.
but we're together, and that's what matters.
She fought against my affection with claws and a few shrill shrieks, but eventually resigned herself to the fate that awaited in my arms. I snuggled close to her, planted a kiss on top of her head, then pulled the ring from my pocket and slid it on her finger.
Folks, we don't know what's going on, but the remainder of play has been suspended as there appears to be a riot taking place in the area.
The announcer's voice rang through the speakers as I watched anarchy unfold below on the court. The heat fans were lighting banners, and the fire was spreading fast up the arena walls.
We will try to give updates as we attempt to reach out to law enforcement. If you are wounded or need assistance, we will rally medical staff to Section 320. As of this time, though, our broadcast will cease.
I started to feel the dull heat lick my arms as the flames got closer to Kelly and I. The two of us were alone in a blaze, but neither one of us moved.
It's not the worst ending we've had, babe. I wonder what will be next for us.
My skin started to blister and bubble. I closed my eyes and let the fire take me. I heard static and an electric pop. It reminded me of the noise an old tube TV made when you turned it off. White light flooded my vision and left nothing but silence in its wake.
I don't know if I'm the man for this job,
I said as I looked at the popcorn that sat on the counter. The words fell out of my mouth without me even thinking about it.
The hot dogs haven't even come out yet. I can't do this by myself. Please.
Kelly pouted her lip at me.
I have to go to the bathroom so bad, and I don't want to miss tip-off. Kelly, I think I need to sit down,
I told her as I braced myself on the counter.
Oh no, babe. What's wrong? You okay there, kid?
The vendor looked at me, concerned.
I just need a moment.
My heart began to race.
Have we been here before? That's deja vu, kid. It's been eating me alive all night. I can't stand the stuff,
he said as he finished wrapping the hot dogs.
No relish on that one.
The vendor pointed at it with his tongs.
How did you know?
I asked as my stomach felt like it hit the floor.
We never told you. Lucky guess, I suppose.
The man shrugged. I saw the fear dance across Kelly's face as the realization hit her too.
You can feel it too, can't you, Kelly?
I grabbed at my chest as the beating in my heart reached unbearable levels.
Something isn't right. You need a doctor, Jay,
she said as she took my hand.
No, I'm fine,
I said between strained breaths.
We need to get to Section 320. What? Why? What about Troy? Just trust me. We need to hurry.
Kelly looked deep into my eyes, searching for the truth that we both understood. She nodded, and then the two of us were off. I was slow to move as the chest pains came and went. I felt like a child who had lost their mother in a supermarket. I then thought of my own mother. How long had it been since I heard her voice? The question of our own safety was a heavy cloud over us as we navigated the crowded tunnels and halls. I noticed signs that others were waking up to the reality of our situation. A woman in a heavy jacket sat in front of a pair of double doors and sobbed while her husband pleaded with her to come back to their seats.
I think people are realizing it earlier and earlier each time,
I told Kelly as we navigated through the arena where the sounds had transformed. Laughter was now rare, replaced by a pervasive murmur of confusion and occasional cries of despair. The atmosphere weighed down on us all. It felt as if the world outside had ceased to exist. Kelly gripped my hand tightly as we moved through the throngs of people. Every so often, someone would stop and just stare, lost in thought, as if they were trying to piece together fragments of a dream they couldn't quite remember.
Mommy, how come we keep getting the same ice cream?
A child asked, tugging on her mother's dress.
I don't even like vanilla anymore.
The mother, clearly distressed, tried to hush her, but the declaration attracted the attention of others. A man in a Celtics jersey with wild eyes approached them.
The kid's right,
he said.
It's like we've been through this day over and over. It's not deja vu. It's something else.
I didn't wait to see how the situation unfolded as I saw Section 320 was just ahead. I pulled Kelly forward, but stopped when Troy appeared before us.
Jay, Kelly, I'm so happy the both of you made it.
He wrapped both of us in a tight embrace.
You shouldn't waste your time with Section 320. Come join the Faith Keepers. The what?
Kelly asked.
The cycle will continue until we repent,
he said.
Repentance requires sacrifice. The Faith Keepers guide the way. Look, I'll show you. Let me see your handbag.
Kelly looked at me reluctantly.
It's not like it's doing you much good here,
I told her. She then handed it over to Troy.
And your wallet too, Jay,
he said, holding out his other hand. I complied and watched him take both to a trash barrel.
Please join me,
he said as he waved us over.
What's the idea here, Troy?
I asked.
You must join me in prayer,
he answered. Troy took a book of matches from his pocket and then lit the trash inside the barrel on fire.
Now let us join hands. I will recite the Faith Keeper's prayer. Look, Troy, I think we're just gonna go.
I felt Troy's grip tighten, and he cleared his throat.
In the loop of time where memories wane, we stand before the cycle, ever repeating its refrain. For the grip of the past and its stubborn hold, we release these objects, both new and old. Oh God above, guardian of the reset, accept this offering, our deepest regret. Material binds us, keeps us confined. In hope of a new day, our spirits entwined. For memories forgotten and deeds misgiven, by this sacrifice, may we be absolved and forgiven. Guide us through the endless night, to a dawn untouched, pure and bright. In this realm where reality bends, we seek a beginning, or perhaps an end. With this act, may we find release from the loop's grip, and finally find peace. Amen.
At the end of the prayer, Troy took my wallet and Kelly's handbag and tossed them into the fire that engulfed the trash can. He looked at both of us with a fanatical grin, proud of the religious rite he had just performed.
We really better get going, man.
I told him as I struggled to free my hand from his grip.
I don't think this Faithkeeper stuff is for us.
The ring, Jay!
Troy said.
You must let the ring go!
What ring?
Kelly asked as she stepped away from the fire.
Troy, shut the fuck up. Why would you bring that up right now? You're supposed to be my best man.
Material possessions is what binds us here. The prophet warned us against mindless consumerism. You were meant to be more than a consumer, Jay. Toss the ring, let it go, and be free.
I'm not doing that, and I would appreciate it if you would just drop it.
I told him as I tried to pull away from him again.
God demands obedience, Jay. Do not force my hand.
Troy, stop it!
Kelly begged.
The fire will have the ring, Jay.
Troy commanded as he hit me hard, right between my eyes.
If we are to stop the cycle, we must forfeit all material possessions.
Troy's fist found my face again, and I struggled to cover up as his attack continued.
Keep that Faithkeeper shit away from 320!
A voice I didn't recognize shouted. I heard a loud crack. Troy wheezed as the air left his body.
We had an agreement with the prophet.
Troy shuffled away like a pest that had been found out in the middle of a meal. He held his side as he spoke.
You can't deny God,
he said.
We will be stuck here forever if you don't obey.
Get the fuck out of here!
The woman said as she raised her bat.
I don't have time to deal with you.
Troy backed away, never taking his eyes off of me and Kelly. The woman reached into her pocket and produced a rag.
Here you go,
she said.
For your nose. My name's Mary.
Thanks,
I said.
I'm Jay and Kelly.
She cut me off.
You've been here before. Felt drawn to 320, didn't you? Yeah, I wasn't sure why, but knew we needed to get here. Come on in. I'll do my best to fill in the gaps.
She lifted a championship banner that was clearly the boundary marker for 320, and the two of us followed her. Inside, we found a makeshift medical area. A young nurse was bandaging a man's hand, while others handed out water bottles. I saw several people hanging out near the entrance, waiting for loved ones to find their way in. The announcer's voice cut through all the commotion.
It is absolute chaos here, folks. The players and coaches have barricaded themselves in their respective locker rooms as what appears to be a terrorist organization tries to reach them.
I heard several gunshots from what I assumed was the press box as the announcer continued.
If you need help, please try to make it to Section 320. We are sending all available law enforcement and trained medical professionals there.
Damn,
Mary said.
They're getting to them quicker and quicker. Ooh, what's going on?
Kelly asked as she clung to my arm. Mary looked up at us with fatigue heavy in her eyes. She then pointed to the wall where someone had painted a giant 67 with green paint.
I'm not following,
I said.
It's the number of times we've reset, or close to it. We're trying to remember. Every time we reset, we forget. But some of us remember fragments, small moments here and there. We're trying to piece it together. Wait a second. You're telling me we're stuck in a loop? Like Groundhog Day or something?
Kelly said.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And keep an eye on her, Jay. She's prone to get fried.
Fried? I said.
What does that mean? Her, brain can't handle it. Knowing we're stuck here, that is. Everyone's been through it a time or two, but some folks get it worse than others. If you get fried, you end up a stuttering mess until the next reset. Just try to take it slow with her. I won't let anything happen to her. I know you won't. I've watched you die for her at least a dozen times,
Mary said as she laid a map of the arena out on the table.
Are you too good to go on a run? You need us to go to the kitchen in the basement and make a record of all the food that's down there,
Kelly proclaimed, as if an epiphany just fell from the sky into her lap.
Not quite. That was the run 3 resets ago, but it's good you're remembering.
Mary took a deep drag off a cigarette before she continued.
I need you to go to Loge 8, down by the court, and do some recon. A new group is forming. Calls themselves the Hedons. The Hedons? Like hedonists?
Kelly asked.
It's what I'm figuring. Took some girls and raided the bars last reset. I know they're nothing but bad news. We need info on them if we're going to keep them at bay. I'll go alone, I told Mary. Kelly should stay here. She fries without you.
Mary took another puff off her cigarette.
She does every time. And besides, she's safest with you. Just don't get seen and the two of you will be fine. Everyone has their part to play each reset. You were the first 2 runners to show up this time and drew the short straw. We'll figure this thing out, but we have to know the other group's agendas.
I nodded at Mary with silent acceptance. The fog in my mind seemed to clear. I found myself worried that what she said sounded normal and even made sense in a twisted way.
Well, we're gonna get going then,
Kelly said. Mary only waved as she continued to stare at the map, planning Section 320's next move. Kelly and I stepped through the banner and found ourselves back in the halls of the arena. I watched as the people moved about us with purpose. All of them had woken up now. They knew we weren't at a regular basketball game.
Listen, Kelly, about the ring.
I rubbed the back of my head.
I was waiting for the right time tonight.
Kelly blushed as I got down on one knee.
This isn't quite what I had in mind when I decided to spend forever with you. But will you marry me? Yes, she said as our lips met. Forever and always yes.
For the first time in a while, my heart fluttered with hope. I thought about life outside this damned arena and the home Kelly and I could build for ourselves. I was determined to do my part to get us out.
Loge 8 is this way, I think,
I said as I pulled Kelly forward.
Try to stay close.
The two of us stayed to ourselves as we went. I saw groups of people huddled in corners here and there along the way. The expression on their faces was hopeless, as if they were posed a question that had no right answer.
Factionless,
Kelly said under her breath.
I remember them now.
A voice I recognized as the Prophet's suddenly erupted from the speakers all around us.
Faith Keepers, gather all the weapons you can and congregate on the court. We will absolve the players this cycle. I can think of no greater symbol of abundance. Those men covet a wealth the rest of us could only dream of.
I'll have to pick a side soon,
I sighed. We turned a corner, and I saw rows of overturned food stands. All of them were cavities missing the propane cylinders that were used to heat their stock.
Ignition in 3, 2, 1.
I heard a voice shout from behind a concrete wall.
No, wait!
I pleaded, but my words fell on deaf ears. I watched as the propane tanks that were stacked in front of an exit door ignited in slow motion. I turned to shield Kelly as I felt a familiar heat lick my back. The door stood there unharmed as the explosion swallowed me and my bride-to-be. I heard the static, then the electronic sounding pop, and then nothing but a blank void. At the hot dog stand, I was trembling with righteous fury. The scene in the arena was like a beehive. Everyone had a place to be and a job to do. The factionless no longer walked among us. I joined the flurry of movement and raced to Section 320. I stormed in as the banner was still being raised. Paint on the wall was still wet, where a green 76 towered above me.
Mary!
I yelled.
Give me the gun I know you have! You can't keep doing this, Jay. It won't change anything.
Her voice was stern.
Don't give me that bullshit!
The words flew from my mouth like venom.
You weren't there! You didn't see the things they did to her! Where is she now? Heading to the catwalks, just like all the other girls they got. I have tried and tried to stop her. Jay, you need to calm down.
I didn't let Mary finish. I forced her to the ground and used the engagement ring on my hand to turn her face to a bloody pulp. No one in 320 tried to stop me.
It's your fault, you bitch! You never should have sent us to Low Jade. I don't need the gun. I'll handle this myself.
I stepped out of Section 320 as the first fleshy pop rang out from the court below me. The bodies began to fall from the catwalks like the tears from my eyes. The victims of the hedons had little other recourse. The cycle never stopped. The memories were more vivid with each reset. I wept as I marched to Low Jade. I knew I would die, but I would damn sure take some of the bastards with me. We were now caught in a war of attrition. A green 98 stared down at the citizens of Section 320. My mind was sharp as ever. I could recall each reset as if it was only a few minutes ago. The leading theory among the arena is that one of the factions needed to prevail against the other two in order to stop the cycle. I'm not convinced, but it's the best hope we have. I looked down to the court, where Troy was wielding a sharpened broom handle. Two of the Faith Keepers hoisted a Celtics player onto what remained of the basketball goal and fastened him there as if he was being crucified. I winced as Troy plunged the broom handle into the player's chest. The rest of the Faith Keepers held the remaining Celtic players in place and forced them to watch. They begged and pleaded for them to stop, but their requests were only met with biblical scripture that detailed the evils of wealth. Mary walked up and handed me a cigarette.
Any luck with Kelly?
She asked.
Nope. She won't even talk to me. Just sprints to the catwalks from the hot dog stand. We'll find a way to stop this, Jay.
She placed her hand on my shoulder and squeezed it tight.
I need a runner. We're locked up like the damn basketball game when this all started.
I exhaled deeply.
What do I need to do? Keep the children behind us.
Mary's voice commanded. Everyone in Section 320 held an improvised weapon as the Faith Keepers marched towards us. A green 117 adorned the walls along the blood from those who had already fallen in battle. I held a blade to the throat of my old best friend.
Make a move and you're dead,
I told him.
Why are you doing this? Don't you see?
Troy smiled up at me.
You people in Section 320 no longer covet wealth, but innocence has taken its place. We will not be free until all the children join the players on the court. We must absolve them too. We won't let you hurt them,
I said as I tightened my grip around his neck.
How long can you keep us away? We outnumber you 3-1. How big will that number on the wall have to be before you give up too?
I swept my blade across his throat, but the last words he managed to gurgle out haunted me.
We'll be back,
he said.
We always come back.
Dr. Geller felt her finger linger on the rewind button of the remote she held in her hand.
I think we've seen enough,
she told the other agents in the room.
Have your notes on my desk by Monday morning. Agent Ramirez, deliver SCP-1733 to Site 52. It is not to be played again without my permission. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
SCP-1733 is a digital recording of an NBA game from October 26, 2010, between the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat at the TD Garden Arena. At first, the recording only showed minor deviations from the original broadcast. However, with subsequent playbacks, the entities within began to show memory retention from previous playings, growing increasingly aware of their predicament. Each playback seemed to increase their consciousness. By the 45th playback, players stopped playing the game entirely. It's believed these entities are trapped within the digital realm, unable to leave the setting of the game. Despite appearing indistinguishable from their real-life counterparts, they cannot directly address the viewer or show awareness of their digital confinement. As realization dawned on them, their escape attempts escalated, from refusing to play to crafting explosives, rioting, forming opposing factions, and even resorting to ritualistic violence. However, with each new playback, every entity resets to their initial, unharmed state. Due to the evident distress and psychological trauma experienced by the inhabitants, testing on SCP-1733 has been halted indefinitely. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast for more SCP stories like this one. You can also check out some more episodes from the SCP Experience podcast here. I'll see you in the next one.